God, I forgot
Normally,
this video gets wild.
Like this. I feel like I've been manipulated by fear that I can't say no to him. I just want to take back my power to say no.
I don't recall what she's going to say in this video, but her power to say no about what? Unless she means like she's afraid of telling him no to things and then like otherwise he'll get mad and he'll retaliate or basically punish her by like talking shit or something like that. Maybe? Listen, we're getting to the bottom of this today, okay? Think about it. Looking at it with fresh eyes 2 years after it all happened. You know what I mean?
Before I get started into sharing everything that's happened, I just want to read to you guys some definitions because I feel like I didn't know what was happening to me. And I wish I had known what the true definition of these things were because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I could have prevented it. Maybe I could have stood up to him. Maybe I could have said no.
I kind of believe that. I saw the beginning of this and I know that like after this, she starts to read off some definitions about like manipulation and gaslighting basically, you know? And what that says to me is that Stephanie was probably feeling all of these things and she had to like read these symptoms on a website to know that the things she was feeling were real. That's what happens when somebody gaslights you and invalidates your reality. If you're a person that has some like people pleaser tendencies, I've had people pleaser tendencies my whole life and I've like only recently started to break out of them. Nikocado strikes me as someone that might push some boundaries to get what he wants, right? So he might kind of push some boundaries and then Stephanie says, oh yeah, okay. Because maybe Stephanie says, well, I can handle this. I can take this. I can take one for the team here. And then, you know, Nick comes around and it's like, well, how about this? And she's like, okay, I can do this. I can handle this. I'll take one for a team. And then Nick comes back around again and pushes another boundary. And at this point, she has accepted the boundary pushing twice now that he knows what type of person she is. So it's easier for him to be like, no, you're gonna do this.
Mental manipulation is when people seek to exploit things that are the foundation of relationships, such as trust, understanding, and mutual respect, in order to benefit themselves in some way.
Regardless of how you establish yourself, if you were somebody that as a child you were taught your boundaries don't matter, it's gonna be hard for you to set those, right? So you're not the problem. It's not your fault. You're learning to set boundaries and not letting people take advantage of you. But the thing is, not everyone in your life will take advantage of you like that. But the ones that will, they will show themselves and you need to stay the away from them.
They use your words against you to make you do something you don't want to do. 2 is that they don't really care for how you're feeling. 3 is that they make you feel guilty or ashamed. I'm going to leave some articles and videos in the description because those help me a lot. Maybe you might be experiencing something like it, so I'm just going to leave those linked below. It happened with Shookbug and Veronica Wang, and I never thought I'd be talking about this online, but here I am. That was kind of when Nick and I had our first interactions on a personal level through Instagram DMs. We spoke about what happened. From his side, it was more of him trying to clarify how I was involved or if I was involved, and also he wanted me to make a video on my side of the story. I had told him that I wasn't involved. I don't think I need to make a video. It was just back and forth of that. Not too long after, he asked me if I wanted to collab with him. I remember specifically being transparent with him and letting him know I don't want to collab just because I feel like the drama is too fresh.
This is it. This is the first time that Nikocado showed himself. So Stephanie is saying that there was a situation between Veronica Wang, and I remember hearing about this. A woman named Veronica, her, somebody else, all of this stuff. And Nikocado is trying to get a video going where they talk about it or they show up or they do something. This is an early sign of him using drama to like pull views. He's trying to set up a scenario that's going to make people uncomfortable or have the public react to something. And Stephanie, of course, she can't call him out on that, right? Because these type of people will call you crazy when you call them out on what they're doing if it's not super obvious. If they can get away with, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, that's exactly what they'll do. So what Stephanie had to do was respectfully decline because she knew that this video would cause drama. Nico capitalizes off of the drama while Stephanie tries to back away from it. Now, this is probably where the problems really start because Stephanie is not behaving the way that Nikocado wants her to behave.
Now, at this point, I was like, you know, I still feel like I want to meet him in person. You know, if he's in LA, I also felt like I turned down Tickle. I was like, let's meet.
Okay, there we go. That's Stephanie's people pleaser showing up again. She doesn't really know how to call him out. She just kind of wants to stay away. But she's like, oh, he's in town. Let me get some FaceTime so he likes me and he doesn't get mad at me. That's kind of the vibe that I get from this.
Immediately when I met him, I could probably say that I was kind of taken aback by how comfortable he was. He just kept saying, like, yeah, that's online. You can trust me.
Hopefully you can trust me now.
I do. I feel like in any other situation, I would never want to put this online. But because I feel like this is something that he's kind of holding over my head right now, kind of twisting my words, I just want to share with you some things that I shared with him.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with Showdown. And it is also another reason why I never made a video about this in the first place. Veronica and I have a very interesting relationship.
Okay, so they don't like each other.
In a video when I was so small. Oh my gosh, she gave me a shout out, and I just replayed that part where she said my name over and over again. I was like, oh my gosh. And she was always so encouraging. She always told me, you know, you're doing amazing. Like, don't give up. Like, you're doing great. Me and Veronica have weird personalities that maybe didn't match perfectly. I shared these little frustrations with him. It's nothing I would share online because I know how the internet works. I'm not gonna go and share every little frustration or annoyance that I have with every person. There was that conversation, and then a lot of it really was him opening up to me about his home life and Orland's tomatoes. We
Probably
stayed
wild.
in Hot Pot till 2 in the morning. We got kicked out like rebels. And at this point, we had been there for hours, and he had made me feel so comfortable and like I could trust him, like he understood me. I ended up opening.
This makes me like a little nervous, like in a like kind of scared way. And also, I didn't go into this video planning to like 100% Stephanie's side, because one thing that I remember from this was I think they used a lot of things that were relevant in the climate to get Stephanie's point across. So I'm waiting to see those things. But I will say, most of the time when you meet somebody new or you've met them online and you're meeting in person, you guys just talk. You're connecting. Maybe you talk about work. Maybe you talk about things you're doing this week. Shit, some people even talk about people. They connect negatively. But it's very strange when someone's goal in the first meeting is to get you to trust them as much as possible. I don't trust it.
The beginning, some of you may know, but I was sexually assaulted in my own home, into my home, and then they took away my power to say no.
Stephanie feels like her feelings are not valid enough that she had to share that incredibly personal story to make the things that she's saying about Nick stick. That's what I think just happened. And that fucking sucks. She should have never had to share that with the public. Never, ever, 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 ever. But in her brain, people aren't going to understand what's happening. And so she probably felt like she needed to give context.
It's kind of just shattered any sort of security that I felt at home prior.
Are you happy with your home? I low-key want that security system. And yeah, I have no complaints at all. The security system definitely helps me get peace of mind. I would highly...
He texted me back that night saying, yeah, what's the name of your fancy security system? I'd like to research it.
Okay, wait. That is weird. I would not like that. For you to text twice about this right after a meeting and then like he's texting her again at 10 o'clock at night, that is going to make Stephanie feel uncomfortable. Period.
At this point, I disclosed which security system I had, but I also kind of told him like why I liked it. At this point, I felt like he was a friend and I wanted to give him whatever help he needed in terms of security.
Stephanie's people pleaser coming out.
Supposed to be about mukbang, and they had to reach out to me, and so I told him, hey, I was approached, but I turned it down. Are you doing it? And then he said, but yeah, I didn't know what level paranoid I was at, so I feel better knowing I'm not alone, LOL. At this moment, I really feel like cemented our friendship because I felt like there was this one common ground that we shared. There was this one thing that I feel like everyone's a little paranoid, but I feel like to the level where you are very paranoid about feeling safe and where most people feel the most safe. And he was telling me like, hey, you're not crazy. I thought I was crazy.
Manipulative people figure out what you want and what you fear, and they figure out how to dangle it in front of you and present these things to you to almost cycle through your emotions. And when you're so naive and trusting that you would never do that to someone, you can't imagine somebody doing that to you. To me, this, and he's been talking about the security system just the night before on October 29th, and he was at her home and saw how serious her security system was. Nico Cotto knows that home security is important to Stephanie, so for him to say this is a way for him to bond with her on a deeper level by saying, hey, I get you and I'm going through it too. You're not alone.
And he asked if I was interested in collabing. And this had been a really long time since Shook Bang. And so I said, you know what? Like, we